Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spence. Today we are talking about basically everything you need to know about buying a house without seeing it first, or even buying a house in another location where you don't live, whether it's as an investment property or because you're relocating to another area and you're not going to be able to do your house hunting in person, so you have to do it virtually. All of that type of thing. We're going to be giving a lot of just going through our experiences, I guess, helping clients with this situation, because we have had the opportunity to work with so many different clients over the years who, in most cases, with these relocation out of area, out of state clients, in most cases, they don't even see the home until after we close on the home. And I know just from talking to people outside of real estate, a question I get a lot is that a bad idea to buy a house without seeing it first? Or that seems risky. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, is kind of just answering those questions from our experience.
I mean, how cool would it be though to, like me and you, okay?
Yes.
We talk about it often. Like last night we're on the back deck while our daughter's sleeping, and we're like under the stars dreaming about what our big opportunities are, what we want to do in the future, yada, yada, yada. Like, how cool is it to not have to actually book a plane ticket, go experience the house in person? If you could just connect with a realtor that does services like what we do to get homes sold, but also to help you purchase a home. So like we're hand in hand. We can work with the sellers. We can work with the buyers to get your home sold with the most money possible. Mm-hmm. I think that's really fun to be doing right now. And it's also just something I'm not seeing much of.
Yeah.
Honestly, are you seeing, be honest, have you seen many brokers do what you do or as effective as you do with the amount of closings you have?
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other agents out there doing it, but I personally don't know of any myself. Who I know, some that'll do a out of state or relocation client here and there, but where it's their like main business model and this is like their specialty and they have all these systems down and this just what they're the most used to doing. I don't know anyone myself, at least in our market. I've heard, I'm sure there's other agents doing it. I just don't know about it, but it is not a super common thing. Which is one reason why, I guess that's one tip, is you need to work with someone who knows how to handle a out-of-state transaction and out-of-state client, because there's certain things you're going to want to look for, and there's certain things that we do for a reason because we want to make sure there's no surprises. And so I guess that answers the first question, which was, first off, is this a bad idea? Why or why not? Is it a bad idea?
It's a fabulous idea. Personally,
to buy a house without seeing it.
I would rather somebody, and obviously you got to trust the other end, the broker you're working with. So like, if you and we have a consultation, you call us up, hey, I'm a buyer, I'm looking to purchase in this area, do this amount of time, give me your goals. And after that phone call, you just don't feel it. Mm-hmm. Like, that's totally fine. That's totally fine to move on, find the next agent. Or set up a second phone call and say, hey, this is my concerns, and voice your opinions, and then let us work through it that way.
Yeah.
Because in the end, a real estate transaction is trust. Mm-hmm. And especially buying out of state, sight unseen. I could not imagine buying something, being uncertain the day of closing, signing my life away.
It'd be exciting.
AKA a $400,000, $300,000 transaction.
Yeah.
And now you show up in a home 2 weeks later after close, and you're like,
right.
Oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into?
So here's the deal. From our personal experience, like I said, we do this all the time. We work with a lot of buyers moving from many different places, buying homes in our area, not seeing them a single time until after we've closed and the deal is done. And I have never once had a client be disappointed with the home or say, this isn't what I thought it was. And that is the goal, because that would be horrible. And that is not what we want for you, which is why we have systems in place. We have certain things we do. I'll just give one. I mean, this is a small example, but it does make a big difference. The way that we film. So when we get an out-of-state client, someone calls us and they want to do their house hunting. First off, we'll have, like Spencer mentioned, a buyer consultation where we'll go over everything you're looking for and we'll answer your questions, walk you through the process, just kind of establish a relationship over the phone or FaceTime. So that's like the first step. So once we start house hunting, though, something that we do is we don't do professional home tour videos. We don't use our professional camera, although we have one. We don't use that for these home tours because professional cameras tend to hide more flaws. And so what we found through, like I said, we've done this for a long time. We've done it many times. So we've had the opportunity to do trial and error. And what we found through trial and error is that the cell phone video gets the most, like I want to show, like just for example, the baseboards, if there's, if they're not looking that great in that great condition or, something like that. Like I just want you to see those flaws. And of course you can't see everything in a video, but the phone camera does show a lot more than like a professional.
Yeah. Well, and keep in perspective though, we do keep ourselves up to date on phones.
Yeah,
we
they're
usually
good
get the
phone
upgrade.
cameras.
We usually get
course.
the upgrade or the
Of course.
newer version. I mean, I have an iPhone 11 Max Pro still. Mariah just got the 13, I believe. So those camera qualities are like so good.
Right. So it's clear, but what I'm trying to say is it's not like if you go on to we have a different YouTube channel where we post sometimes like listing videos. It's not going to be like that because a lot of times when you see the listing videos done with a super professional camera, like the house looks different in person. Because I've seen like listing photos or videos, and then you go to the house and you're like, this is not what I thought. But I think the iPhone camera is a lot more accurate. I've had people ask if we can FaceTime. We don't because that's very blurry and it doesn't really give a good presentation of the home.
I did do that one time.
Oh, really?
And I did make that mistake because guess what? The FaceTime area cell reception I was in, awful. And this client just happened to be from Maryland, other side of the country. And this was a big property. And it just didn't work out because it wasn't more of a remote area. So what I ended up doing is filming the home just like we normally would. The thing is, like, people get really excited. You know, like they get super excited to see the home.
Yeah.
They want to see it as soon as you do.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just not better that way because then they get like misrepresentations with the video footage.
Yeah.
And it's blurry or they're like, what's that room? And
and my clients like it when I send them a link to the video that only they can see, like on a separate YouTube channel that's only for these and all the videos are private or whatever. So I send them that video and they like it because they can rewatch it like 10 times. I've had people watch the video like 20 times because it helps them make that decision. They can rewatch the multiple homes we send them and then decide a little easier, go through the pros and cons as they're rewatching, which is cool because you can't just go through a home 20 times to make your decision.
No, I'm so visual, it's unreal.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think we're in a really cool spot, real estate wise, to just be able to make a client more happy, but also more comfortable in really any real estate transaction, whether it's a manufactured home in its own park or $1 million listing initially, just to get an idea of the area, scope, and I mean, we're behind the footage. I'm talking most of the time behind my video so you can get a clear picture and realistic expectation. I mean, I'm not there to hide things. I understand we need to point out flaws that maybe I'm seeing over the camera that maybe you're not because you're filming it, you're watching it on your computer or laptop or even your own personal cell phone, across states.
Totally.
So being as open and transparent is so important in these videos.
Totally.
And that's something I feel like we've really done and made us more successful for our clients to get the home sold and you to be a happy client at the end of the day.
Totally. So a couple other things that we do for our clients that hopefully help ease your nerves if you're nervous about buying a house out of state or without seeing it first. The next thing is that we really make sure, we all know location is the most important thing. You could see a house online, just say for example, and look at the listing photos and it is your dream home. You think it's perfect. You're ready to go. But you just might not realize that it's not in a good area. Maybe there's like the super narrow road with cars everywhere and it's just or it's a busy street or the homes all around it are super run down. Like if you don't actually go to the house, you can't really tell. And so that's another thing that we always are sure to video and take our time on is we will video the street. Obviously, it's not going to be like the whole neighborhood, but we'll video the street that it's on so you can see, like I want you to see how many cars are parked outside the home if there's any. Like, I want you to know that. I will video the house across the street for a little bit.
You need to know your neighbors.
Just so that there's no surprises. So it feels like you're standing there outside the home with me. And I think that's a major, like, it sounds so simple and obvious, but I think, you would be surprised. Other agents aren't doing this. And I think that's a major thing that helps, is one reason why we've never had a single client say, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. Or, what we usually hear is, wow, this is better than I expected. And that's what I want to hear. That's what I want for you guys as our clients when we're house hunting. And then the next one is just know, when you make an offer on a house as a buyer, you have 10 business days to get your inspections done, unless we negotiate differently in the contract, to get your inspections done and back out for any reason. And so that's another thing. If you're like, well, I haven't seen the home, so what if there's things wrong with it and I can't, I couldn't tell? Well, we have a amazing home inspector. All of our buyers love him. And he will come out very quickly. He's really good at getting our buyers on the schedule ASAP. And I will handle all of this for you as the buyer coming from another state or area. So you do not need to be here ever for any of this. You can't, of course, if you want to, you're more than welcome, but usually it's just too much for our clients to fly, especially if they're coming from like far away. So we will facilitate the whole thing, as far as inspections goes, setting it up, meeting him there. And then of course you'll get the report when it's done. And hopefully that's another thing that eases a little bit of those nerves, is knowing that you'll see on the report, he's a professional, a licensed inspector. Obviously, that's what he does. So he'll tell you what's wrong. And then you can back out still, or you can negotiate at that point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that inspection period really is your time. And if you write the offer sight unseen, that's completely fine. And that's why what you just said is completely on point with how a lot of our clients have been operating. But the reason we encourage you to write an offer sooner rather than later is because the real estate market still is quite hot. Pending on each property we're viewing, different properties are obviously different characteristics. There's a lot of variables in real estate.
Right.
But you just don't want it to be missed out if you're out of state through fear. So we get the property under contract, we put a great deal together, and you're in control of all that, and we advise you ask, hey, Spence, what do you think I should be putting in to get this offer accepted? We do what you guys prefer, but then honestly, if you want our expert opinion, hey, this is why we're making those calls for you. This is why I'm able to negotiate better than anybody else, because sometimes we're willing to do other things brokers just simply don't do anymore. And it is in a way an old school mindset. There used to be brokers that only presented offers over lunch. They would call the listing agent, say, hey, I have an offer to present to you. When can we meet up? And they would present it to them in person as an influence. It's a presentation because you're choosing us to represent you, and we got to represent you in the best way possible to get your offer accepted. So that is something that's really important to me in these type of times, because it has been harder than ever to get some offers accepted. And if we're willing to negotiate a little bit, it makes it even a little bit harder. So just let it be known on the back end, we're doing everything possible for you guys to get your offer accepted. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? We have that inspection period for a reason, and we can back out basically for any reason.
Okay, so the next thing, that's all really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the next thing is, what are some things that you, as the viewer who's thinking about buying out of state, can do to prepare yourself to make a great decision before you even start house hunting virtually? Okay, so
say that again. I'm sorry.
What are some things you can do to prepare to make a great decision for you before you decide to start house hunting?
So this is the audience.
Yeah,
you
this
guys.
is for you.
Okay.
So what I would say is, because many of the clients we have worked with are people who have actually never been to Oregon before, or they've never been to our area, or they're just not familiar with it. So I would definitely say to utilize Google Maps and start looking at, different sides of town. You're really going to want to zero in on whatever area it is that is best for you, if possible. Do your own research. There's plenty of, resources online. Do your own research as to what side or sides of town is best for you, what little towns outside of Salem, if you're, moving, this is if you're moving to our area, but of course this applies if you're moving anywhere, say you're moving to like Dallas, Texas, do your research on the towns on the outskirts, just so that you know what area is best for you and kind of get a good feel for that. And of course, your agent should be able to help answer questions as far as that goes, but do your research. And again, like I said, with Google Maps, you can even look up like how far is this side of town that I'm thinking about moving to my office where I'm going to be working, or I don't know, the nearest Trader Joe's or whatever it is for you, things to do that you enjoy. Like how far is it? If that's important to you, just kind of do your research in ways that you can.
Yeah. And it's once again, a really cool time to be in, because we have all of this stuff accessible to us. I mean, my phone, I can simply type in a property address and say, hey, how long is it going to take for me to get here to my workplace? Yeah. And that is stuff, honestly, I would be doing if I were you guys as a buyer, a purchaser, to know if that's the right fit for you, even before you reach out to the real estate agent, because ultimately you could reach out, we're doing this work, and then 2 hours later after the appointment's booked, you say, oh, it actually doesn't work out for this reason. So that's why I always do encourage you guys to do this before rather than after, because real estate transactions, you are kind of putting people's lives on hold.
Yeah.
Sellers especially, they're emptying their house. Sometimes they're having to get out of their house for every showing. So they have to have a structure and a schedule, and especially if there's kids involved, that's another factor. And then there's the representation. So us, we're planning this out through our day, and we got to time manage because we got to drive even to where your listing's at. So there's an honor and respect aspect in real estate transactions as well.
Definitely.
That I do encourage my clients to think about, and I'm just upfront with that.
Definitely. And a lot of our clients will actually come to the area and book a trip beforehand and just to scope out the different areas. But, like I said, not everyone can do that, and definitely not everyone does that. So it's not necessary if you don't have to. Okay, so how does the home buying process differ when it's done virtually versus if it's done in person?
In person, I mean, for me, it's just more hands-on. And more like you taking on a burden or responsibility to figure things out, rather than allowing your representative, your real estate broker, to kind of do the work for you. And that's how I prefer to do things nowadays is, hey, I'm hiring you, even though it's no money out of pocket for you as a buyer. The way the buyer's agent's paid is through the seller's agent's commission. So we're working all the way through to that closing table, so we can get a paycheck in the end of the day, right? So we want to do everything possible service-wise to get this transaction closed for you, but help you get there, because there are steps. And if you're out of state, you could miss a few steps, and then this delays closing, and then maybe you lose earnest money, and that's where ultimately you could lose a deal and be out of contract in a matter of hours because you didn't sign the right document, or you just weren't there because you weren't familiar with the inspection period, for instance. It's a 10-day inspection period. You got it over in 11 days. Well, that's a void contract, and now the seller has the right to exclude you from the sale and take on another offer.
I would say the way that it differs is that it's easier for you as the client. That's our hope, is we make things as streamlined as possible for you, because it takes less of your time. You don't have to go set up these showings and go to look at different houses. You don't have to be present and do as many things. Even with closing, that is something we can facilitate so that you can sign and close where you're at. Even you don't even have to be here yet, which that does happen sometimes. So if that's what we need to do, as long as we know ahead of time, like I said, we have processes and systems down to just help everything go smoothly for you, to get you from where you're at to here in as smooth of a manner as possible. So the last question about this topic was, have we ever had a client who bought a home without seeing it first, get to the home after closing and be disappointed or say it wasn't what they expected? And that's what we had already talked about is no. Of course, anything can happen. I'm not saying it's because,
anything can happen.
I don't know. Anything can happen anywhere. Anyone could be, having different expectations, but thankfully, and like I said, I think a lot of it is because of the systems that we have in place and the things that we do to really just make sure everything's thorough that hasn't happened. And hopefully it won't, because that's our goal. Like that is our goal, is to make sure there are no surprises for you and that you love where you end up living when you move.
Yeah. And I really can't thank the team that we have backing us up through all of these transactions, this process. And we've gone through the trial and error for you, so you don't have to do that. So when I say in the beginning of the transaction, hey guys, here's my lender that I personally use, give him a call. Try giving him a call, because I've talked to lots and lots of lenders. I've used lenders on the buyer's side in real estate transactions, and I've understood how their companies work and just how the delaying process is and how efficient they are. These things are what makes or breaks a transaction. And so with us, I cannot brag about our team enough from start to finish. That's why we keep people in place. We are the professional on the real estate side. Let the other vendors be the professionals on their side, whether it's an inspection, lending, escrow, contractor, those type of things. Let them do the work for you. That's what you pay them for, whether it's out of pocket or through another at the end of closing. That's my current advice, though.
That's really good. Yes, we do have an amazing team surrounding us that came through trial and error, many years of experience trying different, vendors until we found the ones that were like very impressed with their work. And so we have excellent people that you will be working with if you end up working with us. So with all that being said, if you are someone who is thinking about relocating to Oregon, our office is in Salem, but we work all over Salem and the surrounding areas, and we work with a lot of relocation clients, and we'd love to work with you too. If you don't have a realtor, contact us. We'll put our contact information below. And if you're watching this and you don't live in Oregon, you live outside of the state of Oregon, but you're thinking about making a move anywhere anyway, we would love to set you up with a solid realtor in your area. We have connections and relationships with top realtors all over, and would absolutely love to set you up with one. You don't want to just trust the first realtor you see on Zillow. You could end up losing a lot of time and money. Let us help you out. We're here to help. Don't forget to subscribe. We come on here every week and talk about real estate, and we'll see you guys next time.